Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20, and welcome to episode 64 of Direwolf20's FTB Evolution Let's Play. 64 episodes in, I think now's a good time to get into stuff. A full stack of episodes. My vote, I think it's time for the Pyramid. The FTB Pyramid is the end game goals of the pack. It is where you start really getting into crazy stuff. Now, in fairness, there's some mods we haven't gotten into yet, right? We haven't touched well, I guess we haven't touched Metacraft yet, really, have we? Or Attack, or Modern Industrialization. So we played like a bunch of mods, checked out a bunch of things we've never played with before, did things we differently than we normally do. But at this point, we've like established all the foundational stuff we would want to get going just to have a good time, right? So like, I've got all my dire things that I like. I've got all the resource generation I would want, at least for now. We've got automation, we've got AE, we've got, auto crafting, like all this stuff pretty good to go. We've got some really powerful enchants available to us. Working on getting a little bit more experience. Like we have a decent amount, but like we're getting there. I think now's the time to start the party, right? Cool. So let's flip through the quests and see what's up. The FTB Pyramid Challenge is the ultimate goal of the pack. You can expect to dip your toes in many adventures created by the different mods in the pack. You can create each of the required items for these quests in any order you choose and will be rewarded with layer blocks from the quests at the end of each layer. Ultimately, you will build your own functional FTB Pyramid. It's built just like a max tier beacon. For those of you who are up to the challenge, we'll see you at the top. Let's do it. I'm going to go just like straight across each line because generally speaking, like each layer is going to get harder and harder until like, the ultimate, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. So I don't know anything about, I spent 0 minutes looking at this pyramid quest. I have no idea what's involved here. I'm assuming it's mostly endgame stuff from all the different mods in the pack. I'm assuming we're going to have to get into some of the mods we haven't yet, which is fine with me. Like I kind of wanted to have all the foundation of everything I wanted, and then we'll jump into some of the other mods as we go through the pyramid quests. And that's my goal for the pack, is to like complete the pyramid, right? Once we complete the pyramid, probably gonna wrap up and move on to another pack. But also probably I'm expecting that to take a while. Like we're not gonna do this in the next 3 episodes, right? This is probably gonna be a 10 or 20 episode at least endeavor. Because part of what I'm going to do for all of these is make sure that I set up all the proper automations. We're not going to just like beeline through like, I'm going to real quick craft everything and we're done. Because I feel like that would be really boring, right? Like, let's look at what the quest is about, make sure that we have like a good understanding, and try to have fun automating and making it cool. Now, if it's like one quick thing, like I'm not going to go crazy, but I'm also not going to like, skip a bunch of mod content just because I'm trying to rush to the item that I need, right? It's like, I'll pick like modern industrialization as an example. If I have to get something mid-tier, I'm going to set up like a proper modern industrialization factory so that we have like, a real good feel for the mod, because I've only really played with it once, and when I did, I kind of did it wrong. So I'd like to do it right this time. So let's start. Okay, I have no idea what's first, so we're going to find out right now together for the first time. What is the first thing we have to do? Realized Transcendence from FTB Evolution. So that's going to require some abominable energy, which can be found in Fargo's treasure rooms, or looted from bosses, or obtained through particle collision. We're also going to need some ether from Eternal Starlight. Oh my goodness, this is a thing. Ancient wings from Fargo's talismans, and prismarine crystal shards from Nautek. I don't have any of this. I do have the reaction chamber, so that's cool. Oh, and it needs 5 million energy to craft, it looks like. Yeah. That's probably doable, right? Like do we have a decent sized battery? Like decent, but like at some point we're gonna need to get into like better battery power, because we're still doing just kind of like the lava thing. So at some point we're gonna need better battery and better power gen, probably going mechanism nuclear, which I can only assume somewhere along this line it's gonna be a mechanism nuclear reactor and antimatter setup, which, not a problem. We can do. So what do we want to dip our toes into first? Eternal Starlight, maybe? That could be cool. A little exploration for a change. I'm assuming there's an Eternal Starlight chapter that will remind me how to get to that mod. Exploration, maybe? So this is all like the B stuff, which we've done a little touch of. Like we've visited the B dimension, we didn't do a lot. Stumble into the Infinity Caves, Journey to the End, Trip to the Nether, the Mining Dimension, Personal Pocket Dimensions, and the Void Dimension. And then, hey, there we go, Eternal Starlight. Sweet. Oh, what was that? Oh, it's this. Okay. My mouse was over this thing. I was like, what is this giant thing that almost looked like an error message for a minute? Orb of Prophecy. In the overworld, you might run into Starlight Portal ruins, which are protected by the Gatekeeper. Gear up and accept the challenge to acquire the Orb of Prophecy. Speaking of gearing up, all right, if we're going to be going and exploring, we should probably, like, truly gear up. Maybe we get ourselves as OP as possible with our armor and our weapons, right? If we look at Apotheosis, I have to imagine we have a lot of Godforged portals. That is cool. We have a lot of those. I am happy with that. I'm very happy with that, if I'm being honest. I'm guessing we have a decent amount of gems. Like, not a ton, but a decent amount. So I'd like to, like, take my current gear that I love, my Eclipse Alloy Bow and my nifty sword and my armor that I've got going on, and make it super duper uber with Apotheosis. Then we can go explore Starlight Dimension, hopefully survive, because I'm assuming that this thing affects Starlight, and if it doesn't, I can always dip us down back to Haven. But, like, on one hand, I like the idea of getting super overpowered gear. On the other hand, I like the idea of still having a bit of a challenge. So, like, yes, my gear is super OP, but the world has, like, escalated itself to be more difficult, which makes that super OP armor a little bit more fun to play with. So I think step one for me should be, let's make sure, like, I have good enchanting on this stuff, right? I should probably spend a few minutes. And how are you doing? All right, I can wipe that all out. What is all this? What is all that? You've got a bunch of stuff that you haven't processed over here, or what's the deal? Do I have to turn this lever on? I forget. Yeah. That's cool. I like that my sorting algorithm is clearly working. Clearly working as those numbers go up. Yay for sorting algorithm. That's kind of cool. Love it when stuff just, like, works. And then you, like, forget how you set it up. And why are you out of power? Probably because we're out of books. That's what happens. Why are we out of books? Are we out of leather? We might be out of leather. Yep. Cow. Cannot begin simulation. Missing input prediction matrix. Oh, right. Probably because we're also out of glass. Right? Sand. Yes. Why am I out of sand? How is there a bat in my basement? Explain to me where he came from. Sand. Why am I out of sand? What did I do for sand? I must have had something for sand. Didn't I do sand? I feel like I absolutely did sand. I just don't remember how I did sand. How did I do sand, and why is it not working anymore? I'm gonna have to spend a minute, like, remembering how I did this. I'm leaning towards Stonework Factory, because that's just, like, a nice and convenient way to do things. Especially because we have everything we need now. We didn't have it back then. Obviously, there's, like, Crusher and that stuff. But I just feel like I did this, and I don't remember what I did and how I did it. I didn't do the Quarry Bee, did I? No, I was talking about it. Oh, that's right, the Alkahestry tome crafting. That's what I did. I did Alkahestry. Didn't I do Alkahestry for sand? Yes. Why are you gummed up? You're also out of power. Why are you all out of power? Is it because my thingy's out of power? You've got power, Chief. Does anybody want to explain to me why I don't have power? You're supposed to be extracting energy on the up. None of you guys have energy inserts on the up. Shouldn't that be, like, a big important part of your tasks? Maybe that's why we don't have any sand. This could be a thing. I knew I did sand. I knew I did sand. Completely forgot about the alchemy tome crafting. That was a fun one though, right? That was cool. That was a cool setup. All right, so that should be getting us sand back, which, if I remember correctly, we have some kind of like logic as to how much sand we keep in the thing. We're gonna get up to 20, 48-ish. And then glass is kept in stock by virtue of this setup, right? So that's cool. Okay, sand fixed, glass fixed, cows producing. Everybody happy? I would say yes. And then when you get enough leather, this should go back to work. Right? Once we get enough books in here, this guy will start getting power again. What I could do, I mean, I like you, but now I have you. Remember, they do stack. I'm just saying. Alright, so now you should be cool. Cool. Excellent. Everybody's behaving again. And then you do your thing to extract anything that might be fancy or special. I want to let this all process before I actually do stuff. Alright, fixed my sand problem, which is cool. What I'm going to do now is, off camera, I'm going to get a bunch of enchants. Okay, I'm going to let all this clear out. Clean up any backlogged stuff that hasn't been handled correctly. And then turn off all my levers so I can make enchants for the bows and the armor. Once I get like a bunch of really good stuff, enchant-wise, I'm going to look at turning these into God-forged tiers of stuff and get like the best of Apotheosis. Like, I want as overpowered as possible. And obviously I don't know all the Apotheosis things off the top of my head, so I'll just kind of go with what feels good. But it'll be like pretty OP. Okay, I don't know how it happened. But something happened. And I'm going to take advantage of it. Endless Quiver makes all arrows infinite. That's cool. Flame, I don't like. Infinity, I do want, so I'm going to snag that. We have a couple of those available. Life Mending. You ready for this? Power. Somehow max level available is 15. I don't know how. Also, somehow points stored is max int. Well, the lower int. I also don't know how. Short? Is that max short? I think it might be max short. I don't know. Either way. Unsigned short? Signed short. I don't know. Somehow, some way, that's a really big number. I don't know how it got there. I'm not going to question it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get level 15 power. Punch and Unbreaking I don't care about. So, yay! Now, somebody keeps telling me that I can have these, like, both on the same book. So, like, what I could do is get my level 15 power and my infinity on the same book. And then it's just an easier put it together kind of thing, which, sure, why not? So, it did decrease down to power 9, though. So, whatever that bug is, I thought I was going to get to take advantage of it. Alas, it does not seem to want to actually go on there. That's a shame. Would have been fun to have power 15. But I'm going to call that good for that. And now I have to do my armor, so I'll be back in a minute once I, cycle through a bunch of armor enchants. So, back in a moment. Alright, so I ran out of EXP again. I also have to figure out how to remove life mending from some of these guys. So some of them wound up with life mending on them. Not the end of the world, per se, but I should try to remove that. I don't think it'll hurt, really, because technically those don't have any kind of stuff. Any kind of durability. So I'll see about it. What can I do to remove enchants? There's the disenchant lens. Let me look. Ooh, this looks cool. Prismatic cobwebs can be used to remove curses. I do this and this. Yeah. That 30 experience though. But I mean, like, that's cool. I'm cool with that. Yeah, we can make a couple more of them. There you go. Nice and clean. All right, let's see what I got. I should do like a straight bunch of protections, right? So like we'll do blast. We'll do, I don't know if I need the mana boost and mana regen right now, but we'll think about it. Respiration, I don't really need. Thorns is kind of nice. Sure. Right? For you, I'm going to do regular protection. Remember with Apotheosis, they make it so that, like, regular protection doesn't always do way better than the other types by default. Like, you kind of want all of them. Whereas in vanilla, like, regular protection is just always better than getting blast or fire, right? Icy Thorns definitely sounds cool. Mana boost and stuff, mending, good protection already. I don't like rebounding. I already have Thorns, so I don't care. So that'll be cool for my armor, right? For leggings, what do we got? That we already have blast and regular protection. I don't think I care about fire protection because I'm going to have, like, this guy get the armor that, like, the upgrades that do lava and fire protection. So I don't need to worry about fire. What I will take is projectile protection. And that's about it. Cool. And then what else we got here? Blast. We already have Depth Strider while underwater. I got swimming boosts for that. I don't want that. Feather Falling, Fire Protection, Life Mending, Mana Boost, Mending, Projectile, Regular Protection, Stable Footing. I think I'm okay on that, but we could always add it later. Thorns, Unbreaking. I'm going to do another regular protection on this one. Is that cool? So that would be you. You. And you. Cool. So now we should have, like, really decent protection and stuff. Now it's time for, like, the true uberness of Apotheosis. So with Apotheosis, we can use these dudes to make some really powerful stuff, right? And we have a ton of them because we automated it, so that's super cool. So salvaging breaks down affixes. We already handled that. Gem cutting allows you to upgrade gems. We might want to do that in a minute once we get to gems. Simple reforging table uses sigils of rebirth and rarity materials to reforge items. Reforging table, that's the good one, gets you better stuff. And then augmenting lets you mess with individual affixes. Now, did we set up any of this yet? I feel like we might have, but I might be lying about that. Maybe not. All right, so let's do that. So the regular reforging table, right, we're going to need you. And then you. And every time I update the pack, I have to turn on this thing where it, like, does that. And then you get upgraded to this. Cool. So reforging table, this is where the uberness will go. And in here, you can put stuff like this, I think, and like this. I have to look at exactly how you use this reforging table. There's something else that needs to go in there. I forget what. And then we're ready to make things super powerful, right? And then also, I'll probably want the augmenting table. So for this, we're going to want another book. And augmenting tables are just a little bit more expensive. Polished Blackstone. And by a little bit, I mean they need Godforged Pearls, which is normally hard to get, but, like, automated, so we have hundreds, which is kind of cool. All right, next up, time to read book, because I don't quite remember Apotheosis's rules for how we do thing. Cool. So let me come back and remember how to put these things on this thing and make it, like, uber cool. Oh, there we go. That's what we're looking for. Yeah. Oh, we need sigils of rebirth. Okay. So yeah, this is kind of like Enchanting. I remember now. So, like, you put Sigils of Rebirth in here, and this is like you need level 50, you need level 100, you need level 150, right? It's kind of the same mechanic as this, where you get to choose like low, medium, high usage. But the gist is like you need a lot of experience. So we're gonna probably want to look at augmenting our EXP production. But like this, if we chose the lower tier, would give me those buffs, right? This would give me these buffs, and this would give me those buffs. And generally, I assume the one on the far right is going to be like even way cooler, right? We also get some empty sockets, so you can see on the bottom there we're getting some different socket options. And I think if we don't like what we get, just like with Enchanting, we can either like swap it out with something different, right? So here's like this one. We'll get an empty socket. We'll inflict Wither and gain speed every time we shoot, plus 9 levels of looting. I guess that's cool. And then this one over here, like, inflicts levitation and grievous wounds. This one over here inflicts levitation and poison. This will give me 3 sockets. You can also see there's like plus 30% crit damage, armor pierce, draw speed, arrow velocity, all these attributes that'll change. And then I believe what we can do is take one of those attributes and modify them over here. But we need to have like, it has to be like Uber before we can do that, right? So like if we took this guy, for example, and put him in here, so like see how he has all these attributes, right? When attacked, gain instant health. That's what spiritual is. And steel touched is more armor toughness. So like I could pick one of these attributes, like lucky, and say like make it better for a whole bunch of experience, or re-roll it and just like keep everything else the same, but luck gets changed and we'll get something random. And then we can keep re-rolling until we get something nice in that luck slot, and then stop re-rolling. But that's way crazy levels of EXP that we clearly do not have enough of. So I'm gonna have to like something EXP, because clearly not sufficient at this point. So you guys are all junk, right? Yep. Cool. Alright, let me think about how I'm gonna like amp up my EXP production. Because now we've got like Uber and Chance, but I want like Uber Apotheosis. So EXP? How? Alright, so you know what I've decided? I've decided it's time to decide why I'm not getting any power on this thing. You should be getting charged. Anyway, I made, oh, there you go, a Silk Touch book. And what I'm going to do is go find a spawner. So I should be able to, with Traveler's Compass, the one that doesn't look for, yeah, I want you to find me a spawner. Do you think that would work? Apparently, yes. I'm assuming down. Haha! Yup. I like this. I like this compass. Can we talk about how great this compass is? I think we need to talk about how great this compass is. So am I correct in assuming that I do that and we'll get an Apothec spawner? Yeah, buddy. And that's what I wanted. So, cool. Cool. Let's make sure stuff's out of the way. This is all my junk. This is all the things we're going to be junking. Do we care about you or you? Or, I mean, that is a purple. Or an orange, I mean. It's like really hard for me to give it an orange, even though I know I have like a stupid amount of those things, right? Like I've got so many Godforged pearls, and yet I'm like, I'm not gonna void an orange. I'm not gonna not pick up an orange, right? Like, go be processed, bro. Go do your thing. All right, so with an Apothec spawner, we should be able to do like lots of stuff. Now, I don't see why I couldn't just leave the skeleton spawner as it is and like just get a ton of skeleton-y drops. Is that fair, or should we try and do something like less cluttery? Or does it matter? I'm thinking it doesn't matter, because all I want is the experience, not the drops. So like, does it matter which mob we make this thing spawn? I'm gonna say no. All right, so let's see how broken we can make this. So what I'm gonna do is turn the light on for a sec. Cool. All right, skeleton spawner. You're going to first get a redstone control. Aha. Now you need a lever to work. Okay. Then we're going to do fermented spider eyes. Yeah, buddy. Just a few tweaks. This will reduce or increase the spawn count. So this will spawn up to 16 dudes at a time. We'll use wool to turn on silent, so the mob spawn won't make any noise. We'll turn on we'll put on chorus fruit so that there's no AI. We'll put in sugar to increase or decrease the speed at which, or decrease the delay. So min spawn delay is like the lowest level of how fast it can run. Gas tiers increase the maximum number of entities are allowed. Clocks will decrease the max spawn delay, I think. So if we throw a bunch of clocks in there, you'll see max spawn delay going down. So the spawn delay is random, right? But now it's always a second or 20 ticks. Nether Star makes it so that players don't need to be nearby. And Soul Lantern makes it so it ignores lights. And then spawn range is 4, so hopefully 1, 2, 3, 4 won't spawn outside this, but if it does, we'll let it work. So now every second it should be spawning like a ton of skeletons, all of whom immediately die and do the whole, you know, drop a bunch of stuff thing. I might need to speed up the rate at which we extract items here. Is that cool? And that should hopefully be boosting our production of EXP. Now, in fairness, I could do a Just Dire Things clicker on a sword that has like really high sharpness and also has knowledge of the ages, which would like convert all the mob drops into EXP, which would be cool, but I worry that that would be slower than this, because this is killing like all 30 mobs all at once, right? So like, or however many is spawning, right? But like, the clicker is definitely going to take longer to kill. Whether the gain in experience is worth the longer to kill is probably a debatable question. But if we look, we're already getting like pretty good amounts of XP. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap up the episode here and come back next time. And when we come back, I think my plan should be, let's go ahead and take all this EXP, make some really uber-duper powerful items, and then go check out Starlight. Cool? Because I don't know if that Dimensions mobs are going to be boosted by the fact that we're on, like, really high-level stuff. And, like, right now, it's not easy to kill even, like, Enderman, right? So if we go to that dimension and, like, the mobs are, like, super buffed because of, like, I might have to either reduce it, but I want to try to see if we can keep it really high level by making my gear that much more powerful. So for now, don't sign off. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Take it easy.